Hello once again, and welcome back to another episode of Nosh's Quest to Gold. Today we're going to be showing you yet another PvT game from the Silver League on the EU ladders. I do notice that I'm playing a lot of PvTs at the moment, and as a result, seeing as at the time it was my worst matchup, I've been developing a new strategy for PvT, and you'll have a look at that today. Just to introduce the players, myself, Nosh, I'm spawning down the bottom right hand side, the blue Protoss player in this map, which begins with an O, but I forget the name of it. Up the top left hand side is my opponent Monokurek, who for probably the remainder of this game I'm going to call Mono. Now, as I say, I was struggling a lot when I came back to the ladder for the start of Season 7 with PvT. I found it my weakest matchup at the time. It was just, I didn't really know when to expand, when to attack, what to expect, things like that. So after watching one of the Day 9 dailies recently, which was about how to refine build orders and do them in groupings of buildings rather than straight up, 9 pylon, 12 this, 14 that, and so on and so forth. So I spent 15 to 20 games in single player refining a build, and actually in a build order tester as well, just playing around with the build, which I'm going to show you today. This isn't the best example of the build being played, but there will be other games I'm going to show that have it. This game I don't really get harassed, I don't really get attacked at all, but my opponent, so you'll just get to see the true flesh and blood of what's really going on. Now, you might have noticed 9 pylon, I'm actually putting the gateway down on 13 rather than 12, which means the probe production is constant, and I'm just dumping all of my chrono all the time into my nexus, getting my probes out. Very, very typical standard opening stuff from both myself and my opponent here. Gateways and pylons and assimilators and pylons. Back up the top, barracks and supply depots and refineries and supply depots, and pretty simple stuff. It's actually going to deny my scout as well. I probably could have nibbled that down. There's hardly any health on that. I had like 4 health or something. That could have been actually quite cool. I could have, cost my opponent 100 supply there. Looking back at my base, as I say, it's nothing from straight off the bat. It starts out as a 3-gate expand. Again, as I say, most of my focus is going to be on economy and on my worker supply, which, as you can see, is starting to take quite a good lead. I don't actually have any units out as yet. I should start a zealot in the next second or two. But as you can see, I'm really focusing on getting ahead with the probes to get and expand up quite quickly. Now, I've had a few shots from my probe. In terms of vision, all I've been able to see is this front little bit up here when I was shoot away with this marine, and I'm not really going to get to see much more of my opponent's base, not for a while anyway. He himself has actually gone for just the 1 barracks and then into a factory. It may look like a 1-1-1, but I think the starport gets quite delayed. I'm not entirely sure about this and why he would opt to do this and swap his barracks out with the bunker, but I mean, to each their own. At least this way he's going to get better range of things coming up the ramp, and he won't lose the production building or something, I guess. I don't really know. There we go, 2 barracks and a factory coming out for my opponent. Myself, I should be on 3 gates now. It's 2 up at the moment, so my 3rd gate should be coming down momentarily. It's actually a little bit delayed. This is one of the first games I was really testing this strategy. I am currently just going out with zealots and sentries to start off with, just to make sure that if my opponent was going for some kind of all-in, which could be in my ramp now, then I could get sentries out and I would cut probes and chrono. You will also notice I have both of my assimilators up as well, the reason being that this is a very heavy build, a very heavy gas build, sorry, as you're going to see later on. So, just bear with me as things start progressing along their merry little way. Now, I was going to say a 3rd barracks, but it's not, it's just the 2nd barracks there. With a tech lab as well, we are getting some marauders from my opponent here, which is quite good, very good against stalkers. Especially with concussive shells and things, they're very good at kiting zealots until the charge upgrade comes through. Going straight into tanks as well, I was surprised not to see a starport. You'll actually see that around the 6.5 minute mark that I'm going to chuck down a forge and a couple of cannons. Now, this is part of the build now. It's the pylon that should clear 42 supply is placed at the front, nexus planted, and then a forge to start the wall off at the front. You'll see this probe is actually moving up to complete the wall off. Now, at this time, as I'm expanding, I have just sent my probe up. I'm just going to grab some minerals and see if there's an expand here. I'm happy to sacrifice this probe. There doesn't appear to be tank tech for my opponent, so thankfully for me, tank tech. Thankfully for me, I'm not going to get cannoned or shelled to death here by the tank. So back down home, because I'm around the 6.5 minute mark and I'm scared that he's still on one base, you'll see me panic, warp in a couple of stalkers, and then once the forge finishes, I'm actually going to build a couple of cannons in my mineral lines of my two bases. I mean, very fast banshees should be out and about and reaching your base around 6:35, 6:40, maybe just a little bit later than that. This is Silver League, so don't expect them to be that quick, but at the same time, you never know, there could be banshees coming. So I kind of panic and get a little bit ahead of myself there. Now, I do have the front watchtower, so unless my opponent was being incredibly sneaky and just sneaking up over the edges of the map here, nice little bit of hidden shrubbery on either side of this ramp though. Unless he was being sneaky and coming around the sides, I would see the push coming. Quite soon I'm actually going to move his L up and take this tower as well for absolutely no reason. Enough of that was me doing it there. I thought I'd timed that almost perfectly. Another part of this build is being a PvT build. I'm optimizing armor over weapons just purely because I'm going to have a lot of zealots in the mix. They're going to be charge lots and they're going to tank a lot of the damage, while I have higher gassier units up the back dealing a lot of damage as well. Now there we go, as I mentioned, we have the cannons that I was talking about coming through, and the mineral line actually kind of making a mess of some of the probes pathing around here, I would say. Not the best in the world. Also in terms of my build, I've kind of, my money's getting a little too into probes. I really should be building a Twilight Council and another couple of gateways. I should actually go up to 5 gates at the moment. You'll actually see me do that right now. 5 gates. Come on, Nosh. Come on, 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 come on. Here we go. 5 gates at the moment. I would like to see myself again put some probes into gas, because it is going to be a gas-heavy build. You might have just noticed I did get a scan there. The scan has shown that my command center, which is actually a nexus, has gone down. So my opponent, after placing 2 bunkers and a whole bunch of siege tanks in very strange locations, is going to eventually drop his expansion. So there we go. Quite a strange set of affairs going on here. Perhaps Mono wasn't exactly the highest skilled, most awesomest player that I've yet to play, but for now, you can see the command center was built at home and is being slowly but surely drifted off and landed down there. Back at home, I've eventually remembered to build that Twilight Council. See if I can find it. There it is there. That Twilight Council I was telling you about. My armor is just about finished. I am going to swap that in with weapons. More often than not, at the moment, I'm actually going for +2 armor rather than +1 weapons. As I say, the Twilight Council should be finished. As soon as the Twilight Council finishes, we're going for Zealot Charge. As you can see, if we look at army supply, I am quite a bit behind. Actually, not that much behind, but as you can see in the worker supply, I'm almost double my opponent. Keeping things quite nicely saturated. I've stopped building probes for the time being, as you can see. I don't think it's oversaturated up here. Don't think. It's just probes. There you go, 30 probes. So that's, I think, perfect saturation. 8 threes, 10 threes, 30. Perfect. I'm amazing. Now, as you might have noticed, Templar Archives is coming out. So the build we're going for is 3 gates, sentries, and zealots expand with armor into charge lot and high temps with storm. Now the aim, the speed I'm kind of getting this all out at and ready to push at, it should actually be an 8 gate push as well, but you'll actually notice, or a 9 gate push, I can't remember. 9 gate push, but I haven't added the additional gateways because I'm quite new to my own build at the moment, and this is one of the first few times I've tested it for real. But it should be around 11:30, maybe 12 minutes that I'm finishing up Storm. For the time being though, obviously with a couple of high temps in the mix, I can make Archons if need be. So charge a lot Archon with sentries as well. A couple of times I opt for Hallucinate so that I can hallucinate in some extra units, buffer some damage, but these sentries at the start, especially now, all of them, as you can see, have a lot of energy, so that's lots of force fields or lots of guardian shields, meaning that these zealots who are +1/+1, which will soon be 2/1 zealots, can take quite a lot of damage, especially against your usual bio MMM ball. I mean, tanks are actually going to do considerably better against this than I was expecting. I really need more Archons and less Templars. But thankfully for me, Mono didn't play out of his skin in this game, and I had absolutely all the time in the world to make my own build. There you go. As you can see now, I've gone and noticed that I don't have all the gateways up, so we're going to add the additional 4 gateways, which gives us a total of 9, and that's us ready to go. So I'm just, you know, pushing up my army supply at this stage. You know, I'm really trying to take the lead in army supply, and getting ready to go. You can actually see I also forgot to place forward pylons, so there's going to be a couple of probes heading across the map, placing random pylons in random locations. For example, anywhere I think my opponent might expand, anywhere he could have possibly expanded already. Not one here, because that might be my expansion, you know. You see, just blocking expansions and things like that, preparing for a later game just in case that comes around. Now, I haven't really commented a lot on what Mono's been doing this game. You can see he's actually just adding starport tech now, if I can find it. There we go. One with a tech lab and one with a reactor. Now, running up the ramp here was probably not the best. If you count the number of siege tanks, we have 3 in the high ground, 2 on the low ground. Storms absolutely everywhere, completely crushing the bio, and then quickly I'm making myself some Archons. Now, I really should have Guardian shielded a bit more. I have pretty much lost my entire force here. But now the Archons are out there, you know, quite hardy. They're going to do a lot of damage. Pulling them down the ramp to save them so that they don't get completely murdered, but then just sending in a bunch of zealots to get massacred anyway doesn't seem like the best of plans. But at the moment my economy is really taking off, as you can see. Oh, fair enough, my opponent has 2,500 minerals, but I've still got the 1,000 mineral mark, so I'm warping in zealot rounds at the bottom to take out these rocks. Looking at army supply, I've managed to kind of crush my opponent's army back about a good 50 supply? No, that's not true, about 30, maybe 35 supply. And myself, with my economy, slightly better than his, you know, working on through, getting things saturated. And because I can warp in right up here, I can reinforce my army as well. So warping in a lot of high temps. I think I actually switched these to Archons. There you go. I switched these to Archons pretty much straight away because all of the tanks, I figured there wasn't a lot of bio. I should probably get Archons out to try and take some of the tank damage. Now that the Archons are through, I really should have brought them down to take out this Raven. I'm not entirely sure why there would be a Raven. But because, again, the economy and everything else, I'm just going to constantly bring in rounds of zealots running up this hill here. The tanks are actually shelling out on their own supply depot as well. That's kind of funny. Again, the play for myself does seem quite sloppy at the moment. I have actually pushed down for an expansion, and I'm adding a whole bunch more gates, in case you wondered what the next step of this is. More gateways into Robotech is kind of where I'm going, or more gateways into Dark Shrine, depending. But I am now, you know, just barreling through the door. This is a brute force move by myself here. Just zealots and archons just charging up. Just constantly warping in more and just clicking them onto the high ground. As you can see, running straight in and just making a mess of what my opponent has. We're currently looking at the supply. It's 90 to 26, and it's only going to go down for him and up for me, so we get a GG. And you get to see this strategy. Now, I'm quickly going to jump out of the game and let you see what's been going on for myself recently. I've been playing a lot of StarCraft. I actually have made it to rank 1 of my silver group. Hooray, rank 1. And with this strategy, just purely because there's a lot of terran on the ladder, if we have a quick look, that's not what I want, if we have a quick look at match history for 1v1s, if you see today especially, but just in general, pretty much constant wins for constant wins for a long time. I think it's something like 12 in a row or 14 in a row. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Fuck. Lots of wins in a row, basically. That's a custom game set, doesn't count. 20 wins in a row? There was a loss here and there, but I'm going to cast a bunch more games and get them up as soon as possible. But you'll see a lot more of this strategy and how it pans out. Thank you very much for watching. I'll post some more soon.